Introduce him. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Charter for Compassion's EdNet Forum. My name is Lucy Gray, and I'm very thrilled to introduce my friend and collaborator on various things. And I'm going to find his bio while I am here. I have it in a document. Okay. So, and the bio is not in the document. Sorry, Craig. I'm
It's
not
okay.
prepared like I should be.
It's okay.
So I'm going to go to your website,
You know I can share.
and that might help. Okay,
Okay.
here we go. Maybe. Okay. So, welcome everyone, and I hope that you're joining us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and other platforms. If you have questions or comments, please feel free to use the comments wherever you're joining us from today. Craig Ahrens Martin is an award-winning educator, nationally recognized school leader, and founder and CEO of CCM Education Group, where he partners with schools and organizations to build cultures of belonging, strengthen leadership capacity, and drive meaningful, sustainable change. With experience spanning the classroom, principalship, district leadership, and national consulting, he brings a rare blend of strategic expertise, practical tools, and deeply human leadership to every engagement. He is the author of the Brave Leaders Playbook, which was released, is being released this year on March 7th, and it's a guide for leading with clarity, courage, and purpose. So he is going to, we're excited to have him here. I was saying to my charter friends here that I met Craig through a consultants conference that I ran, and he's been deeply involved with ASCD, among other things, and he has his own conference that's coming up. I'm sure he'll tell us more about that, but we're excited to have him here because we feel like he's aligned with the values that we espouse here at the Charter, and we're excited to learn with him today. And we encourage you to reach out to Craig after this event with any questions or possible collaborations with him. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Craig, and welcome, Craig, and thank you for doing this. We really appreciate it.
Hey, all right. Thank you, Lucy, and thanks to the Charter for Compassion community. I'm most honored. I am most honored and humbled to be in space with each of you and any and all of the people out there, whether or not you're live or not. Love, we gonna do what we do. All right, and so we're gonna go ahead and get into it. So set the mood, do what you need to do. I know you might be, sitting at work. You could not be sitting at work. You could be taking a walk. We love that. You could light yourself a candle, honey. Like, just go ahead and say, look, let me just give myself some aromatherapy. Do that for you. Do that for you today. I'm just saying, like, whatever it is. You got that cup of coffee, that cup of tea, like, do what you need to do because that's what this is about. Today, we're going to talk about thriving. And so, um, some additional things that could be helpful to you in whatever ways make sense is like I'm a southerner all day long. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. Depending on where I'm at, that twang come out, honey. So we gonna have ourselves a good time. But we're gonna talk about thriving holistically, and I'm gonna be sharing some tools. I recognize some folks are like live right here in the Zoom room. Some of y'all are on LinkedIn. Some of y'all are on Facebook, honey. So like there's just multiple things happening in the background, but we gonna be all right. My hope and my intention today is that you can take away one thing that will be supportive to you in your work and in your walk and in your journey. um, and that I am a servant leader who stands right alongside you. I am imperfectly perfect. The only person who think I might be halfway decent is my mom and my daddy, and sometimes they think I'm a little rough and tumble, so they still, hold my hand a little bit, like, all right, baby, come bring it on back. You done a lot today, so just know that you're gonna get some of that flavor. So, without further ado, I'm gonna put a couple of things in the chat because I recognize one, we have some wonderful friends who are in other places, and I don't want to not make sure that you have these tools, and I will put a QR code up. But based on the fact that we're in different places, for those who are working and doing all of the beautiful tech, they might be able to help get this out to the folks who are in those spaces. So I have a workbook that is going to kind of guide our journey today. The Unbreakable Guide. This is part two. So if you open it up on your phone, I just want you to know if you look at the bottom of your phone, you're going to have tabs. So there's three complete tabs. If you're watching it here, hopefully we get it to you. And if you're like, Craig, I can't see, I can't get it, like, you know how to find me. Craig Aaron Martin, you put it in Google, honey, you're going to find me. Don't you worry. All right, let's go ahead and get started because we only got so much time. I see beautiful smiles and people who are here and less caffeinated than I. So we are going to do that. I need to also share my sound. So give me 1 second. I am sharing. I will be playing some things at some point. And right now you might hear music. So let me go ahead and turn the DJ off because y'all not ready for all that fun. All right. Just somebody give me a thumbs up if you can see championing, thriving, you deserve awesome hot dog. All right. So I am going to do a little bit of movement on my side just so that I can see all the things. Happy, happy, joy. All right. So for those in the room, if you are on Zoom, then you're here. It'd be great for you to, share who you are. You don't need to necessarily share your name because you have a name already. It's showing up in the space. But please share your pronouns, your role, maybe your hopes for the day. There might be some folks who are looking to be in community with you. And so please do that. If you're in LinkedIn, I will follow up on LinkedIn. So if you are attending and you're seeing me on LinkedIn or you're seeing me on Facebook, please just know I'm gonna go and check and I'll definitely follow up with you. All right. So let's go ahead and get on into the get on in. First thing I'm gonna do, I already lit the candle, honey, and I'm gonna breathe because I do still get a little bit of the energy, just all the butterflies, honey, all the butterflies. Um, and have a mindful moment. I just want us to one breathe. Ooh, I felt my neck crack on that. All right now. And as you inhale, I want you to embrace that you are meant for love, love. And whether or not it is God, the universe, or you just as you exhale, just help you to receive that you are meant for love. And then I want you to inhale again and embrace that I need more than me today. And as you exhale, just know that we get free together. And as you inhale one more time, just know you are worthy of embrace. And that might be spiritual, that might be someone giving you a nice little hug, a little touch right here. And whether or not it's God, universe, or let the universe, let God, let the divine lead you to discovering grace today. All right. And so hold all of that in your spirit. Allow that to do what it needs to do. And please take care of yourselves in whatever ways make sense as you move forward today. All right. I'm going to check the chat because I saw something in the chat. All right. Da, 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 da. Okay, cool. All right. I see some beautiful people who are here in the chat. So, some things that I will name for this particular space in this time, no matter where you are, whether or not you're here live or whether or not you're beyond, I want to invite you to a brave space. Brave meaning that you are taking the time to love on yourself. It requires an orientation of brave love, meaning that you are willing to take space and be in community with folks and recognize that not every space is safe. Not because we are a bunch of dangerous people, but we have to recognize that there are experiences and emotions and energies that are in a space that may make us a little bit anxious, may take away from us fully being able to enjoy and experience the humanity that's right here in this space. Because sometimes we have caused scars and wounds, and we also have been scarred and wounded. But in this space, we get to turn the volume down just a little bit and amplify the voices that fight to be heard because sometimes we need to call each other into love and truth. And we have an opportunity to start somewhere. So today it might be like, hey, I'm going to try to breathe and not cuss somebody out. And today I'm going to try. I'm going to really try not to say all those mean things to that person who almost swiped me as I'm trying to get out the car to get my coffee. You know, And we also have the opportunity to examine what we think we know. And we're not perfect, but we're imperfectly perfect. And we will exist in this brave space together and hopefully work side by side. All right, loves. So I appreciate the fact that Lucy has shared so much about me, and so sometimes you just want to know a visual. So here's my back. It's a little wide, honey. It was a little wide. It was COVID, honey. It was a good time. I am the person who has been an educator, who has tried his best to be a Power Ranger in some moments of his life, to block and tackle, especially for those whose voices aren't always heard, for people who feel invisible in spaces. It has been my joy, absolutely, to serve alongside beautiful educators and community builders and architects and unsung heroes in so many places. And I love the fact that I was born and raised in New Orleans, a place that is deep in my spirit and a hearth that I bring with me everywhere I go. And so I just shared the Unbreakable guide in the chat. But for those who are seeing this virtually, you actually can scan this and you'll also have access to it. Again, I put it in the chat and I recognize that some folks may not be able to get it. So if we can get it to LinkedIn and we can get it into um, Facebook, is totally fine because we're going to start with the Unbreakable Guide first, the one to the left. The one to the right, I'll make sure I need to get you the link so you could just download this one, but we're going to start with the one to the left. And so I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. I'm going to give you about 20 more seconds, and then I'm going to show you what's in the guide, and we're going to walk through a couple of the exercises up front. Okay? I'm gonna, I'm gonna do a little bit of a sway while you get into it. Do a little sway as you get into it. This reminds me of what his name, Richard. What was the exercise guy? Gosh.
Richard
Simmons.
Simmons.
Richard Simmons. Yes, I was watching him. Sweat, 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 sweat. Come on and get that sweat, sweat, sweat. All right, I know y'all are like, Craig is nuts. Who is he and why is he here? Let me let me go ahead and share this guide. All right, I can't share that yet, so let me stop. So give me 1 second. Zoom doesn't want me to be great. Why is this up here? Okay, we're gonna stop sharing. All right, I'm gonna do that. Let me pull up my screen. All right, that's that. Okay, here we go. I see a number of folks who were on the guide. Awesome sauce. And I am going to share it now that I can see the screen. Here we go. So, the Unbreakable Guy, for those who are not in the room, and for those who are in the room, this is just my love offering. It's an opportunity for you to have tools that support you. We're going to talk a little bit about resilience. We're going to talk about thriving. I'm going to talk about how they work hand in hand. And so, my intention today is really to really center on you. It's hard to lead in communities and lead this work and champion this work if we're not taking care of ourselves. And so, what I want you to do, and this is for you, so make a copy and absolutely, use what you desire that is helpful for you. And if you don't find it to be helpful, keep moving. There's more good stuff there. And there is my information on the bottom. So, first things first, I want you to internally think like, how are you feeling right now on a scale of 1 to 10? One being like, child, I'm still in the bed trying to figure out my life. To 10 meaning like, all right, y'all, I'm outside. I didn't touch grass. I didn't have coffee. I didn't did Pilates. And I'm ready to take on the day. And I also want you to hold like, what has been the most challenging aspect of work and life for you? I'm going to include the word life as well, and that's the intention for you. Like, what are you holding, and what is the barrier to you thriving in whatever conditions you desire? And what is one thing you may be hoping to gain from this session? And as you go through it, we're going to also go into some mindfulness. So you get to do a body scan. And so all you have to do is click here and make a decision like, okay, do I feel tension in my head? Do I actually I'm not sure. You know what's going on with me. But I want you to also know that we're going to do some mindfulness as well, because I think that that's important. I don't think that we actually spend enough time. Like this morning, I was in the gym right before I got here, and I was like, all right, I'm going to get in and go. And then I got there and I'm like, all right, child, my body at, now that I've crossed the 40s threshold, my body don't always rebound and do all the things. So sometimes you need to take the moment to do a scan. Also know that we're going to talk about resilience and thriving back and forth. So these are all designed for you. I'm not going to cover all of this, but I do want you to know these tools are here. So there's some mindfulness based tools when we talk about emotional regulation, and you can literally make a decision. Hey, am I practicing these things? Am I considering these things? This might be new for me. Or you be like, nah, Craig. So I can tell you, for me, like sound therapy, honey, I have tried it in different places. That is not for me. It is not the treat that I hope it is going to be. So I just want you to know it is not, but it doesn't mean that it couldn't be for you. If there are some additional things that you're looking for from in regards to like resilience and thriving, check out these resources. And then we're going to also talk about setting boundaries, which is also part of thriving. One of the biggest issues, and I literally had this conversation with a dear heart, Rhonda Johnson, 2 days ago, and we were talking about what is the purpose in burnout. Some of us are trying to live these avatars of what we see on social media and drive, 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 do, produce, produce, produce. And it's like, well, at some point, all of this is going to work out for me to absolutely live and feel like I'm free. That may not be the case. For some of us, it's like, look, I got this job that caught, like I'm only making $50,000, and I need to create some additional boundaries, or I need additional measures in my life that will allow me to thrive. And so some of this might be around work life balance, and then also knowing you have some self-care ideas here. There are some reflective prompts, and then I also have, for all of the videos that I'm going to share with you, there are links to the materials here as well, including the heart work guide and the querying guide for those who are part of the LGBTQ community, like myself. And you have an action plan. So at the end, I'm going to say, hey, what's the one thing you want to do that is going to, be a practice or strategy you want to incorporate, and who are the people you want to help anchor you in that, in one step forward in thriving. And finally, there is a survey. So if you like what you saw, give a brother some feedback. And if you don't like what you saw, give a brother some feedback. I will continue to grow. And the last thing, I know some of y'all have already made a copy. I am Craig Aaron's Martin. So that's the new change there. If you want to connect with me, and then here's all of my information. Other things that I'm going to talk about and reference a little bit on the second tab is 4 R's for repair, because I'm going to talk about, well, what happens when we go through self-harm and harming others in a particular ecosystem. And then I have the care framework. And so how do we actually name and call in respectfully those actions, those behaviors that are causing us harm, and what are the ways that we name it, and also name the value that's important. So just know that those things exist for you, and we're going to have a really beautiful creative exercise on slides google.com. So if you have Google Slides, we're going to do something fun. Don't you worry. All right. I am going to now go back into the slide deck, but I just wanted to anchor you to that right now. So for those who are courageous enough, where are you right now? So if you wanted to put in the chat, or put in your chat on LinkedIn or on Facebook, what is your number right now? What are you feeling? Are you a 1? Are you a 10? And I've already asked what your hope is, but I'm just curious for folks who are in space, like what number do you feel like you are in? Because that'll help me to also know what's in the room. Because I will also I will do a whole DJ party. If you did not know me, honey, thanks to those who are being courageous enough to share their numbers in the chat. And I see some people who have some different they're in some different spaces right now. And so that is totally okay. That is totally okay wherever you are. All right, so we're gonna do this body scan really quickly, and so I shared with you, like in your resilience workbook, you actually have an opportunity to take a moment to look at who you are and where you're at. And so I'm just going to ask you to get comfortable, whatever it is. For me, I'm going to be in a tree formation. So tree formation for me, or actually this is more like flamingo. So I, have the flat of my foot on my leg, and that's how I'm going to do a scan. I'm most comfortable in this way, strangely enough. So I want you to get comfortable. I want you to release your focus for a moment and know we're going to come back. And so I just want you to do like internally, just pulse and feel, how's your shoulders? How are your feet? Is there tension in the top or in the hamstrings? Is there a little presence right here? Maybe too much coffee. But doing that sense, that check-in to see where the tension lives and breathe and breathe and just do a noticing of what's happening. Don't judge it. Don't judge it. And as you breathe and as you exhale, send a little love that way. So maybe it's just a little patting, like, okay, we all right. We're good. We're okay in this body today. I'm okay in this body. I'm grateful that it has what it has. Because there's some people who woke up and they're not breathing without assistance. There's some folks who can't lift their hands above their head right now because they've had such a history of strain and stress that it isn't even fully allowing them to lift their heads up. I want you to also recognize that you have your feet on the ground. And it may be hurt because you might be working a job that requires you to be on your feet all day. Love on your feet and keep breathing. And it will get better. So, the question I'm gonna ask you, I don't know if you can see it, is what if it all works out? What if it all works out? Because I know sometimes we're holding things that pull into question whether or not we will lean in and thrive. So I want you to make a decision for this moment. What if I told you that today you're one decision away from living a more fulfilling life in your career and your personal life? And sometimes it comes down to one thing. I was having a conversation with my tax strategist, tax preparer, and she's just a beautiful sister woman for me, sister friend. And I always get nervous and I have a lot of feelings about doing something wrong. So I'm about to be vulnerable with you and share like we're walking through taxes from not just 25 or 24, and we're talking about these things, and I always take it personal when I know that I have not done something to the best of my ability, and it was like, oh, wow, I wish I had known this and that, and I had such judgment and shame, even though I didn't know the information and I didn't know what I didn't know, but I still felt, I took it personal. And she said, well, Craig, at the end, because we went through multiple iterations, she kept reminding me, she's like, I saw you here and you're doing this, and I see people are responding and reacting to that, and Craig, I see this, and I think, isn't that a good thing? And she had to keep reminding me and pushing me out of this malaise I wanted to own, and the condition I wanted to hold in my body was like I wanted to sit in the judgment of it all. And she kept pushing and pushing and then praying and moved me out of a place where like I would have left that call and I would have just laid out prostrate and missed 4 hours of calls because I had that sense of judgment about that. For some of us, like I also this yesterday had I was holding like, man, I'm eating and eating and I'm gonna gain all this weight and I'm not gonna fit in these clothes and I'm not gonna be as strapping as Charles Mentos is, who was on here. You know what I'm saying? And so I had all this judgment, and I also woke up this morning and a dear friend, a dear heart, had sent a text and was like, yo, somebody in my life has passed away. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's a lot. but I don't know if I have enough to send positive energy your way to tell you like it's going to be all right, right? And so I think that at times we hold this tension of trying to hold the pieces together, one for ourselves. And then if we're servants and we're working in community, like how are we holding community together when there's so much work that we have to do for ourselves in order for us to get to thriving? You have to make a decision. There's a constitution you have to hold that says, I'm going to be willing to think differently about who I am and how I show up in the world. I have to create the conditions for what thriving looks like for me. And if you are willing to do that work today, at least to explore the idea, then I think we might be all right. So, at times where I say something like I just said something and it might feel a whole way. You could imagine, and I wish I had the video of my one of my students who just did the square breath. But you can inhale 1, 2, 3 and hold 1, 2, 3 and exhale 1, 2. And you can experience this. And this is courtesy of my beautiful sister, woman, Rose Pavlov from Ivy Child International. They have, I mean, they've transformed my community when I was a principal through the gifting of mindfulness. She has a great teacher, Jordan Grinstein, who also was part of that beautiful work we were able to do to give young people and the adults tools to use in regards to mindfulness and more. But I know some of us sometimes feel like, well, Craig, that mindfulness is cute, but we are fighting a losing game. Do you not realize what's going on outside? All this pandemonium. And I know there's real suffering out in the community. I know that there are people who are suffering. We were just talking, Lucy had just mentioned, like, hey, Craig, we're noticing that people aren't necessarily coming out and showing up to places in the ways that they have. And I can understand personally how much work it requires for us to just show up, not just for the world, but for ourselves. And I don't think that we have ill intentions of not showing up, but I do recognize that we're in an environment that feels untenable. It feels relentless in regards to the meanness and the negativity and the evil and hateful like language that is out in the ether. That there are really people who are preying upon other folks to lose, to go without, to be hungry, and to project that they aren't worthy of love and support and resources. And how do we navigate that as people who are stewarding organizations and stewarding classrooms and stewarding our families? Again, it comes back to our minds, hearts, and spirits and making a decision that we're going to do something different. And we have to model that and we have to lean into it. And so I had to make a decision that I wanted to do something different. I know that there's some people who might believe, well, Craig, you're out here, you're doing all the things, you got a bookie, blah, blah, blah. There are more times where I sit here and I'm laying on the sofa all cried out because I just don't know. The world itself seems so crazy, but it's the ecosystem I'm in or the ecosystem I choose to be in. I've made a decision now. I'm not going to spend my time looking at whatever 47 puts on today's news that is going to be evil and hateful. I made a decision that I'm not going to spend as much time on the social media just swiping. I'm making a decision that I want to be in community with folks who are also working to thrive in small ways. And so yes, we know a whole bunch of stuff is going on, but there's still, for every hateful everything that causes pain, there's also good. That care bear energy is out there. There are families who still show up and come in to support their kids. There are people who are still writing books and producing because they want to have a legacy that they did something that added value to someone's life. There are many times where, regardless of whatever is the difference in political and societal and environmental challenges and issues we have, that there's always people who are like, well, I still want to do the right thing. I still want to help the next person. I still want to be my brother, my sister's keeper. And so, what we have to make a decision about is what is the kind of change that we are after. And so, I love Princess Hemphill, founder of the Embodiment Institute, who says the kind of change we're after is cellular as well as institutional, personal and intimate. It's collective as well as cultural. And we're making love synonymous with justice. And this work that we're doing to create communities of thriving means that we first have to have cellular change. Sometimes that means you have to go away from all the things and people that you know in order to find yourself alone and process, reflect, engage in some deep heart work, and make some different decisions. The smallest decision that you are going to do something that is going to be an investment in self love, and then you are going to extend that love to someone else. And so, one of the practices that leads to thriving is a conversation I love with Jay Shetty and Trevor Noah around gratitude and resilience. And I'm going to show a little bit of it. I'm not going to show the whole thing, but I think that it really will help to set the stage for practices you can engage in.
Have you found that what you did go through, that you ever needed to process it or heal it, or because you had that perspective since day one, that you never needed that it was just like, no, this is my experience and I'm used to it? Or were there moments of where you had to revisit? And
I work on healing every day. You know, I grew up in a world where we almost didn't have the time nor the resources to heal. And I think for a long time, I was very comfortable in accepting that as just being my world. Oh, that happened. I shrug it off and you keep on moving.
wow.
Yeah, you shrug it off. That happened to you, domestic abuse, okay, poverty, whatever it may be, violence in the community or at home, whatever. Yeah, but that happens. You keep it moving. You shrug it off because it is happening. And funny enough, you can grow up, and I knew I grew up in a world where I created this narrative in my head that it was not bad because it was happening to everyone.
Wow.
And so
wow, yeah.
now most of my life, is spent acknowledging that it was bad, and then spending a lot of time acknowledging how the bad created coping mechanisms or tools that I then use in my life every single day, and how I can accept those parts of myself whilst also not glorifying the things that happened. Just sometimes I fight with a lot of people when they do this. I fight with all my friends, by the way. I hate
Friends from back home?
Anyone.
Yeah,
anyone.
okay,
I fight from friends from back. I fight with anyone, Jay. Anyone. I'm never grateful for suffering. I'm never grateful for pain. I'm not grateful for those things. What I work to be grateful for is the resiliency that may exist in my family and our ability to adapt. But I'm not going to be grateful for a horrible thing that happened to me or the people in my life.
Yes.
Because we learned how to deal with it.
Yeah.
I would like to live in a world where my child doesn't have to develop that tool. Let them develop another tool. Yeah. Let their tool be, I had to figure out how to feel good about myself when I couldn't get as many TikTok followers as I wanted. Let that be their tool. But I understand the esoteric idea. I understand what people are saying sometimes, but I'm almost allergic to it, because I think sometimes what it does is it justifies what people are going through, or it justifies the idea that we don't need to do more, or people aren't going through something bad, because it creates the best. It makes diamonds. It can create diamonds. And I'm like, yeah, but what it can also do is pulverize a lot of people into dust.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment and just kind of give folks live reactions who are here in the space. Just like, is there anything about what we heard with Jay and Trevor that may resonate or may challenge, you want to challenge some of their ideology in regards to what was just shared?
I think I would say that compassion is all about that flexibility and that resilience. And so no one person is the same, and every person needs something very different, probably, and very specific to their own needs. And we need to learn, probably in education, but in most of our life, how do we level what it is that people need and want, and what can we give them. So it's a two-way thing all the time, isn't it?
Thank you. Is it Marita or Marita? Marita? Is it E? Okay. No, I want to honor your name. So if it's Marita or Marita,
so
like
in Mexican, in Spain we say, or in Spanish we say Merida, and in English we often say Merida or Merida.
Okay, thank you, appreciate you. See Anum, I believe, says his words and aspirations for the world really resonate for me. Thank you.
I think what he spoke about kind of brought me back, like acknowledging that some of the challenges that we went through, you know, even speaking for me, I grew up in Mattapan, so like I looked around and violence was everywhere. So like I did kind of like suppress it and just kept it moving and shrugged it off. But like as I started to be growing up, I was like, wow, a lot of these things is bad. Some of these behaviors and things that I suppressed is coming out in a different way. Like it was anger that I had on the inside, but it came out in sports. But it was through different mentors and spaces I was able to, without even knowing, like breathing strategies and all these other different tools that I was doing. I didn't like name that they were productive, and it helped me kind of like be more productive as I move forward. But sharing those challenges is those experiences is very important because you don't want to like suppress it, but you're naming that you build resilience out of those things that you kind of like ignored. I don't know. I'm just kind of like floating around, but definitely that was a good video that kind of resonates with me in terms of your experiences and what you're feeling like, to express it, name it, and how can I heal through that, you know, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. What I want to share with you is how many times, like if you're in a gym, so if you're a power lifter, you are a weightlifter, what is one of the things your trainer says? You have to breathe in order to lift that weight up, right? You have to, like, your abdomen has to cave in order for you to lift up. If you are actually doing downward dog, you have no choice but to breathe, because it's like, ah! Okay, I'm sorry, that was a lot. That was a lot for some folks, right? But you go down, like you have to breathe. Your chest is opening up and you are pressing down to lift up. There is no option but to breathe. And we keep, and Iana Van Zant talks about, take a breath. Take a breath. When we have kids who are all upset, I was watching this one TikTok video of this beautiful teacher and the little I want to say kindergarten kid, just crying. It was like, I can't hear nothing you saying until you stop crying. When you can say and express your feelings, we can talk, but you can't talk through crying. And he was like, you need to breathe. And that disrupts so much. And even when we want to say something to somebody, y'all know how, like, some of us will like, oh, I'm gonna say what I need to say because I'm on that Aries energy right now. I'm not saying anything about y'all, but it requires what? We gotta breathe. Take a breath, take a beat. Because sometimes if we breathe, we might not say the thing that we, would normally say that actually will cut at someone. We might actually say, all right, let me think differently about how I want to actually communicate this. I need to say what I need to say, but there could be a different way to deliver it and still get the point across and still keep that bridge together. Other things that I'm going to share and explore is, one of my other favorite teachers is Dr. Raquel Martin, and what she talks about is like the thinking trap. So not only are we talking about like gratitude and resilience, but we also have to think about like the most powerful organ we have is our brain. And so how do we actually replicate that for students? How do we replicate that for each other, of like, how do I get myself to not be in this ecosystem of mind trash? So I'm trying to think about, like, I feel like I am sharing a lot. I have my therapy session later, so I'm not trying to leverage this as my therapy session. I'm just saying, like, I'm like, ooh, child, I'm sharing a lot, Jesus. Okay. So I'm gonna say this, and and actually, I got very emotional. So if you go to my Instagram or Facebook, I just did this video about the Black Boy Joy universe that I've created, and I shared like um I am team too much. You'll learn that about me. I am team too much. I do, like, I'll give you the entire like Six Flags experience. Like, here's all the stuff, and I've not prepared you. I've not said, hey, here's the gate to get in. Here's the ticket. Like, I've not done that. I was like, just come on in, and we'll figure it out. And they're like, I don't know, Craig. I feel a little weird. And I recognize that I could have sat with the fact that when people did not show up for this bigger thing that I was hosting, like a 3-day extravaganza, like Lucy does, like, come on, y'all, 3 days of all the things. And I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, let's do it. The people gonna come. But when they didn't come, what was the message I took? And so I had to sit with, do I take this as absolute failure? Do I take this as, well, people don't, I'm not who people keep telling me I am because people are not showing up? Or do I sit with it and say, well, maybe I was doing too much and people aren't ready for it? Or what I am learning is people need to spend more time in community to understand if I'm the right steward and shepherd in this work. Like, do they really want to journey with me over time? And that's a trust thing. So I need to be in community in order for folks to know that. But if you hold this mind trash and you bring that with you, that trauma with you, then you hold that. And so what I want to also posit is there are some ways for us to think differently about how we move. And so I'm going to share a video from Raquel Martin, and then I'll open it up because I saw some people who was like, oh, Craig, that is exactly what I want to talk about. And I'm like, okay, all right, double dutch it in, honey, double dutch it in. Here we go. Are you able to see the thinking traps? Yes. Awesome. Here we go.
Are you guilty of falling into these awful, terrible, dubious traps? Tune in to find out. Dr. Martin here. So today we are talking about thinking traps. What are thinking traps? Thinking traps are patterns of thought that are often inaccurate, negatively biased, and make us feel absolutely terrible about ourselves. Now, please believe me when I say if you suffer from thinking traps, you are in absolutely fabulous company because they're incredibly common. I fall into the trap. It's a very old school reference, but I fall into kind of thinking traps all the time. So I deal with these thoughts sometimes by challenging them. Now, there are a lot of techniques that you can use, but I'm going to talk about the challenging aspect of it today. So, question. Tell me what you think about me. That's not it. But anytime I say question, I feel like I always have to, the shoes on my feet. I'm actually not wearing shoes. But first question, is this thought helpful? Some things are true, but they're unhelpful to ruminate on. So it's just going to make you feel bad about yourself overall. Is this under my control? Also, what evidence is this that this will actually happen? A lot of times you fall into a trap of saying this and this and this and this and this, but what evidence is it that this will happen in the first place? Am I 100% sure that this will happen? 100% sure. If so, plan for the best or worst case scenario so at least you feel some aspect of preparedness. And it doesn't mean plan for days and hours upon time, but it does mean you can kind of manage the stress of knowing a scenario is going to come by feeling like you have some semblance of control of it. Because one of the biggest contributors to stress overall is the lack of perceived control. And I say perceived control because even if you don't have some aspect of control, because you can't control anything but yourself, just having a thought process of a plan can make you feel a lot better. Another fantastic question to ask yourself. Am I blaming myself unnecessarily? Like, what would I say if a friend brought this same scenario to myself? Like, Sometimes it's a lot easier to be kind to a friend than to be kind to ourselves, which is incredibly unfortunate, but it is true. Next, and this is one that I do a lot. Am I thinking in absolutes? Am I using statements like always or never? The only thing that I am always is black. So if I'm using always or if I'm using never, I'm typically exaggerating. Another one that I do always. Another one that I do is asking myself, is this fact or opinion? Right? Like if it's an actual fact, the earth is round, water is wet, facts. Or is it opinion? I did absolutely terrible from this and I will never succeed in life because of it. That's more so an opinion. So ask yourself these questions. Let me know if any of them were helpful. Let me know if you have some additional questions that can help other people in my community as well below. And follow me, like.
All right, I'm gonna stop there. Would love to give folks thoughts. Like, if there is anything that resonated, you can plug it into the chat wherever you are. Or for those who are here, I know that right there, those questions, huh? Whoo, they really shook the core of like, is this fact or opinion? And one of the biggest questions I've have had to ask myself is, how is this thought serving me? Is it serving for my good or is it serving for my downfall? And so I'm curious if any of this resonated for you. Is this something that you feel like you're healing through, you're thriving with? Just so open it for the folks who are here or those who are in the chat.
I know that I take things really personally. Like you've talked about that in this presentation, and it goes into this being your own worst enemy kind of mindset. And I also think it comes from, in my past, my parents were less than ideal parents, and for me, I was reading an article in The Guardian a number of years ago about a film called Resilience, ironically. And I read it and I realized it was directed by a woman I knew's husband. And I emailed her and said, where can I see this? And she said it's playing in Chicago. His producing partner is from Chicago. And so I took my husband and we went to it. And it was really the first time, I guess I had heard about trauma informed practices before, but it wasn't as big as it is now. And they talked about the ACEs study and how that influenced trauma informed practices. And Nadine, is it Burke Harris in California, was this doctor who has a clinic that treats kids that have had trauma, because the health implications of it are huge. It's not just the mental health piece. And so that it put a name to something that I had experienced. I thought, this is me. Like I felt like there was a name for what I'd gone through with my parents. And that one of the reasons I react quickly to things is because of that. And so that just, I think half the battle of dealing with issues is realizing that they exist before you can really address them. So it's kind of a long-winded response, but I feel like it's I can definitely relate to what she's saying, and I really like her this kind of virtual coaching through her posts. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, she she is a teacher for me. I can tell you. And I appreciate the other very sensitive things that you shared as well, Lucy, because it's I don't sometimes I don't know whether or not for folks who know that we like, myself, like admire and just hold you in such dear regard, like, that level of humanness that you also, have that there are things that go on behind the scenes. Sometimes for us as leaders, people don't also assume that like, hey, we're not going to always have shining rainbows and, care bear energy and all those things that, that there are things that are part of the byline and ticker tape and that we are all constantly working to be to become a better version of ourselves. We're always in this constant state of becoming, right? And so like this, I want to honor what you had shared as well.
Thank you. I I wonder about people who don't think about that. You know, I think there's some people who aren't aware or don't choose to engage with themselves in this way. So I hope that your presentation will encourage more people to do so.
And thank you. And I appreciate also, Marilyn, what you shared as well. Yeah, some of this is cultural, right? What are the environments that we're in that this is because this has been modeled and we've been socialized, to exist and operate in these ways, um, that it's harder to break and deconstruct that because it's like, well, I don't understand. This has been the model for the way we do what we do. Everybody speaks at this volume at this and they speak with their hands in this way. And unfortunately for those like me who happen to be melanated, and a male, us using our hands in all these ways sometimes is not the most safe way for us to move. Like it's okay for me in the Zoom room to express myself, but if I am like, I don't know, on Warren Street in Roxbury, depending on how you feel, could be an interesting outcome. So, and that's unfortunate that we are in an environment where like the environment itself also creates this container of like how we can express and emote ourselves, and that there is not necessarily a agility. There's not a fluidity for us to be able to operate in the fullness of the emotions, and also that there are people who are helping us to coach and redirect some of the energy, and give us space to understand like how those behaviors, those emotions show up, impact others. We don't get to do as much of that work, I think, in the ways that we used to. Oh, good gracious. All right. Well, I'm gonna keep moving because I feel all the emotions, and I also feel like, oh, like I should just give y'all some time to workshop. But I'm gonna give you a moment. Don't you worry. To do some fun stuff. So I'm gonna share some tips and examinations of thriving that I felt like have led to individual and collective metamorphosis. This is some of the work that I've been doing with individuals and school teams and nonprofit centers, even a group of nonprofit leaders right now, as we it starts with us first. It starts with us first. It is really hard to lead an organization. And like when I started to do some of this mindfulness work, like in front of a organization that I was leading, and I was like, well, we're gonna integrate some of this because I think that this would be great practice. I just left a community where this had been so transformative, so I wanted to naturally bring it. And so people had a particular way that they had profiled and decided they made decisions about me. And because they made decisions, they weren't even open enough to say, well, Craig is only asking us to, give 5 minutes to sit and breathe and read, like center on ourselves. They spent more of their time judging that this was a different profile of me, that they were wondering, well, what's up with that? And that's unfortunate. And I had to then make a decision, a choice of, do I continue to do this because I know that it's good and right as modeling and integration, or do I stop doing this practice that I know is hopeful and hearted and intentional because others feel uncomfortable? And so you have to make some decisions about that. So some of the things that I talk about is committing to a mind, body, spirit, wellness, and connection journey. So for me, like I do go to the gym. You might not be able to tell in the fullness of this body that I do go. I'm in the gym and whatnot, but I also done hot yoga. I got a good friend, Michael Bobbitt. Child, I love Michael. I really do. And the first time he introduced me to like, hey, Craig, come out for yoga. And I'm like, oh, I've done yoga. So it's like not a thing. Hot yoga, I think it's the devil. I don't really. I'm like, I don't understand why we need to breathe like this in these high temperatures. Who doing this, and why is it that there are so few of us of color in this room? I did say that because I was like, I don't understand. Like, I'm from the South. I'm from New Orleans. Child, we walk slow and we sit in the shade. But it was like 105 degrees in there, and that was crazy. I say all that to say, whatever is the decision you make, I do believe that it saves your life to make sure that you're making a decision to work out, to exercise, to walk, to breathe, to incorporate something that is part of your wellness center, and be in community if you can with others who are doing this work, because it naturally feels affirming, and it also slightly an accountability measure as well. And so for me, like in 2020, I decided I was going to do 2020 miles of movement, meaning walking or running. And these were some of the people who I decided to do this with, because, and they don't even live here. But because it was important to me, I found a community that made it make sense. There are too many communities that are free, that offer resources like workshops, and that are doing these 60, 30, 45 minute. Right now, like there's Juice and Toya that I actually work out to, and it's absolutely free. So it doesn't, you have to make a choice that you want wellness to be part of your experience. I also made a decision that in the ecosystem I existed in, that I wanted young people to also have the tools, because it was important for me, if I'm going to be the student shepherd and they trust me to create this ecosystem. I'm going to say that again. Our young people trust us to create the ecosystem, that everything within it is for our good and our betterment. They will call the question, why are you doing or not doing a thing? But I think about when I was growing up, my mother read books. My father read the newspaper. Still, my father still reads the paper. My mom doesn't read books, which is interesting now. But that meant that I needed to read. My On Saturdays, we knew we were going to clean up the house, and we were going my dad was going to go out to the garden and do gardening. It was an expectation that we did that. And so I wanted to create an ecosystem where young people had tools on mindfulness and how to emote and how to regulate their emotions, because I know that most of the kids I serve are disadvantaged, marginalized, their voices aren't heard and respected, and they're in communities that already have multiple layers of systemic oppression. I wanted young people to feel like there was a sense of control, that if it costs you nothing, but if I can give you tools on how to regulate your body and your mind, if I could have stewards, people who know how to do that work, and put them in community with you, you have a better chance of surviving and thriving. And so I want you to also think about, well, what are the tools you have at the ready that you can actually foster in the environments that you're in. I also believe in beloved community. I actually joined a group called TEL, and that's the Transformative Educational Leadership Organization. These are some of the wonderful people I love and adore who are stewards of this work: Aja, Mina, Linda, Michael. And they really created a hurt for me to examine for myself the rage. So appreciate Charles talking about rage at an early age. I realized at I would say probably 5 or 6 years ago, I didn't realize that post George Floyd and also COVID, I carried a lot of anger and rage. I had therapists, talked to my doctor. My doctor had prescribed stuff for me. And she was like, well, take these pills, Craig. Like, it's going to be all right. And I'm like, there's got to be a different way. What this community did for me was like, it addressed, like, we actively addressed racial, gender, political, environmental factors and issues that were plaguing us, and they gave us a container to examine it from a holistic and wholehearted perspective, never shying away from the tough conversations, but also gave us the tools to really do that work of co-liberation through beloved community, meaning we hold this thing sacred. So I grew up in New Orleans, where at the kitchen table was where we traded culture and values, humor, and some calling in and calling out, even over a good card game, was the way that I learned what we value and who we are. I also recognize that when you bring people to the table and you say this, the table is set. My husband says this right now. The table is set, like we're setting the table before people walk in, because we want them to know that we are prepared for them. How are you preparing tables so that people know that this is a space that is specially designed for you? And I hold that with me. And so this particular community has done that to help me as a leader think about the systems that I occupy. And sometimes I'm leading and stewarding, and even I can be the oppressor and be the oppressed, and having to navigate and manage that. And what are the tools that we need in order to manage that level of tension that resides within us, especially if you're a person of color or you identify as someone who's marginalized in a larger society. I also believe in building magic in micro moments of momentum. And that means that I'm always looking for the small win. I'm not necessarily, I don't need to win every card game. I just need just a few hands that's gonna get me a little saucy, and me be the person right in the middle, like, I got you, I'm on my way. And so that comes up with growth mindset. We talked about Carol Dweck. That if you have habits that you're like, yo, I'm sorry, that you saw, I got comfortable. But I found that growth mindset was such a power broker in my life and in the lives of the young people. I also made a decision that I was going to wear spandex. Yes, I said it. I wore spandex in front of my entire community. Oh Jesus, I'm saying this out loud, and it just chuckles me. I feel like I'm from WWF, the Lucha Libre series. Child, I did put it on. But it was ultimately because I needed to be like, even if I was uncomfortable, what was the campaign there was I wanted young people to realize they are the superhero in their own lives. Hence, part of like the Black Boy Joy Summit, we're the heroes of our own story. It was important for us to emote that your situation, your zip code, your circumstance does not dictate that you can't be successful and thrive. And so I wanted young people to see that if we costume it up and then I just give you just enough of an ignite that you could actually take off and do something amazing. Sometimes at work, those moments happen over socials, having a beverage. But I also recognize that young people need to also play with adults and know that we are safe people who also have fun. We needed to change the narrative. And so, if for some of you who are following me and have gotten to know me a little bit, you know that I'll dare bravely and I commit to radical candor and vulnerability fairly often. I share, a lot about myself because I recognize that I'm trying to defy the very stereotypes that actively have been painted for me in being a black man who does not emote, who does not know how to regulate his emotions, does not know how to nurture relationships, young people, women, adults, period. I needed to show like that when I take the armor off, there is a beating heart here. There is scarring that exists. And that I actively processing the things that are happening in this world as someone who is a commentator on the things, and that I am also human. So as people be like, "Oh, Craig is yeah, Craig got all them things going on, child. He don't need nothing. Ain't nothing going on. Craig got it all together." No, I don't. So like when I cried on the live on Instagram on Sunday about the fact that one of the biggest desires I wanted to have, like one of the biggest things I wanted was a son. Like I really wanted to have children much earlier in my life. That has not been a gift that's been given to me, but I've been given the gift of being able to steward and foster beautiful young people throughout my career. And maybe that's what God wants for me. But I had to speak truth to power. And this was a way for me to continue to show I am human. I also believe that one of the things that continues to be a gift to me as people give me feedback is connected to Howard Thurman, who says there is something that waits and listens for the sound of the genuine in yourself. Nobody like you has ever been born, and no one like you will ever be born again, and you are the only one. And if you miss the sound of the genuine in you, you will be a cripple all the rest of your life. I recognize that we can be waylaid by all the things that are going on. But there are still people who are looking for resonance and connection. There are still people who are swiping on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook who are like, I need to know that I'm not out here by myself. I'm a single parent. I have Asperger's. I just got a cancer diagnosis. I just was unemployed. Someone I care about was unalive. Like there are people who are listening for someone who has resonance, and that is so important for us. We cannot find ourselves thriving if we're not willing to also share the moments when we're in the valley. And then as Jay and Jay and Trevor talked about, like giving grace and gratitude in good company is also important. Giving yourself grace. So whatever you see in the mirror, whatever is going on with you in your life, being able to say, you know what? I didn't accomplish A and B today. I'm gonna tell you, I keep telling y'all stories. God, like I ain't gonna have nothing to tell the therapist when I talk the other day. But I literally had a moment on Valentine's Day of all days, and I was just like, okay, I got all these things that I gotta do. I got like 25 things that are on a list that I'm like absolutely need to be done. In order for me to feel like I've accomplished anything. And I put it into Chat GPT, and I said to Chat GPT, I said, Chatty, hey girl, glad we back together again. And I said, I need you to talk to me as an executive coach. Here's all the things that I'm thinking about and processing as a CEO and a founder. And you know, Chatty came back and was like, first and foremost, breathe. Two, everything you're trying to do is untenable. Three, you're a great human. You've produced a great deal. Look at all the stuff you've already accomplished. Four, out of the list of 32 things, because it was 32, not 25, I need you. What if you only got accomplished five? What is a story you're telling yourself about the five versus the 27 that didn't get accomplished? If you only get five done, and I'm like, this is AI. Now, I'm not saying that we should lean into AI as like our executive coach, but I found it interesting that it started to get to know me in a way of like, I'm gonna push back on this mind trash and these thinking traps for you to also give yourself grace, Craig. If you get five done, if you get two done, is it better than, you know? And what happens if you got five really great things done versus 32 mediocre? Also, gratitude. There are times in my life where when I start the list of gratitudes, I find that I'm actually a better human being. And I think that that's important. And I also believe good company is also important as well. And so, like right now, I'm processing. Like, there's a number of folks who I just want to that I want. I just say, hey, come to the house, come to the house and hang out. We don't have the greatest house, but it's a loving, wholesome place. We will make sure you're fed. There are adult beverages here. And non-adult beverages for those who just want a seltzer. Um, but what we know is it will be a good time and you will be well in your spirit and there's no expectation on you. And so I also think about, well, how many times do we invite people to have the coffee, have the tea, and not have expectation? We don't need an agenda. We just want you to show up and just be fine. Enjoy what you want, be in company, and let's see what happens. Also, I also want you to accept that you are the lighthouse of liberation, truth, and love in your life. And that means that the people around you are looking to you because if you're here, whether or not you're a parent, you're a partner, you're an educator, you're a convener, you are an angelic troublemaker, you also need to embrace that people look to you for love. They may be looking to you for truth. And you be like, girl, them stripes in that direction might not be your friend, but I love you anyway. Let's go, let's go have some peaches. And also knowing that, especially in the world that we're in, how do we all get free? How do we help everyone get free? Marsha P. Johnson talks about like no one is free unless everyone is free. And so what are the ways that we are helping to liberate each other? And sometimes it's just liberating that next mind from the mind traps that we hold or thinking traps. And so I bring all of this back into focus because ultimately you have to make a decision that you want to thrive, point blank and period. I don't always live in this body with that as an absolute, if I'm going to name it. It requires a lot of work, but I can tell you I'm better than I used to be because I used to be in a place where I would just crumble. And I'm grateful for the therapy. I'm grateful for the friends. I'm grateful for the readings. I'm grateful for the people who took the walk alongside me to help me shift my thinking. The people who choose to lean in. Even Jeanette, yes, who I talked to yesterday, who was like, "Baby, it's gonna be all right. We're gonna figure it out. You deserve to thrive." And so let me talk about thriving. When you go into Webster, it talks about flourishing, prospering, that you're going to make progress towards a new awakening, a new chapter. And you have to go after it. Thriving means that you have to be relentless to create, hold on to, and absolutely protect your state of mind and the condition and environment you're in. Jill Scott just talked this past week in an interview that she has everything that she's ever wanted. And when she walks out, she literally zips up emotionally to hold the container of joy and peace of mind as she walks through the space, because she recognizes that other energies are going to try to deflect and push her into a different direction, but she's made a conscious choice and decision to experience the kind of joy that is absolutely beautiful for her. We have to make a choice. So some things that I recognize about myself, because in thriving, it means that there are certain things that I know that I need that I probably have not been honest about. So I used to work in a school community. My last year in working in a school community was summer of 2023. I did not I did not reconcile that I was getting hugs every day from young people and adults who come around with the side hug and whatnot, and that I was getting my fulfillment of hugs. If you live alone, it's my have you ever questioned whether or not, like, well, why something ain't right? And maybe it's because you haven't been hugged enough. And I know some of you are like, look, don't touch me. But I'm just saying generally, do you know, and this came from a researcher, that 12 hugs a day leads to growth. Just eight get you maintenance. And 4 hugs, hey, you will survive. And I don't know if we've actually taken note to like how much of that human connection actually shifts the atmosphere. I also know that when we actually are in community with people, our loved ones, or we are in community with people who we absolutely just want to be in, like all of our cells, all of these cells start to rise up and create oxytocin, which actually generates this emotion of positivity and joy and love, which is beautiful. And so when is the last time that you actually you created or chose to be in community with someone where you know it was going to be a good time? For some of us, it's going to line dance and have the best time ever. The last thing that I wish I think that I'm close to the last. Yeah, I'm down to the last couple of things. Something that I am still wrestling with. I'm not saying that I'm here yet. But the 33 by 3 manifestation method, I was doing some research on manifestation, and this was one of the strategies that was actually pretty interesting of choosing what you want to manifest. So I want you to take a moment to think about, what is it you want to manifest in your life? What outcome, what experience do you want to have? And I'm not talking about like I want to be a millionaire. That's great. I want that for you. But what is something you want to see manifest? And have you actually taken the time to write the affirmation around it? Like, I want this. So for me, um, it's gonna seem self-serving, but it is and it's not. I'm still working through it. So like I wrote this book, Brave Leaders Playbook, and ultimately I wrote this for school leaders like myself who didn't know how to go about creating community, how to build trust ledgers, how to assemble a brave bench of people who are unsung heroes. Not the people who are always high performers, but sometimes your custodians, your secretaries, that parent, those community partners who work at the after school program who come over and they are the unsung heroes who do the work that you can't do because you are not in their body, don't carry their energies, and are not as influential as the young people you best serve. And I wanted to make sure that folks knew, here are some of the tips and tools that help to get folks to better outcomes in the community. And for me, I'm hopeful that this will go into the hands of the right people who need this, and that ultimately it will be a blessing, and I will learn in some way that this did help them. Like that is something I want to manifest. So like I now need to write an affirmation, and then I need to write that affirmation 33 times, and I need to repeat that process for 3 days and believe that you will receive what you ask for. And so that's something I'm gonna work on. Like this is a reminder that I actually I need to do this for myself. Hot dog. And so ultimately we're gonna close with this. With all the dear love. Your transformation story begins with you confidently deciding that you deserve what. And so I want you to actually engage in an activity with me. My transformation story begins with me confidently. So the beginning of this, I said you had to make a decision. You have to make one choice. And so your future self could be your 12 p.m. self. It could be your 1 p.m. self. It could be 2027 self. Like whomever version of you want to bring further along in your life. And so here is the activity I'm going to have you to do. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to share this. All right, that's not that. Yes, I'm going to share this. So you are going to have, because we actually have time, I'm going to give you approximately eight. I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you 7 minutes of product time, because at least I don't know if there's some comments and things that come with it after I'm done, but I'm going to close out with this activity. So I gave you this resilience workbook. You can choose any of these activities, and I'm saying you could use this for the next activity I'm going to show you. Now, I'm gonna recognize some of you may not have the most up-to-date Google, but it's okay. If you got ChatGPT, you can use it. You got Gemini, you got Perplexity, whatever tool. We're gonna use an AI tool. So just saying, use whatever AI tool you want. I'm using Google Slides. You might want to look at these as ideas for you that might be part of what you want to manifest. And so I want you to do your own manifestation on this Google slide. I'm going to show you how to do it. It's really quick and it's really easy. And I'm going to give you 6 minutes. I'm going to put on some music for you so you can fully enjoy yourself. You are going to have an opportunity to create whatever thriving looks like for you. It can be one picture or it can be multiple. Totally up to you. There is this tool. When you click insert, there is created you're going to go to insert, and then you're going to go to image. So again, you're going to go to Google Slides. You'll go into the presentation, you click image, and you will click generate an image. Now, the AI technology has gotten so sophisticated that now you are able to create ideas and generate them into a vision board. So this is an opportunity for you to create, like, what does thriving look like for you? What do you want to manifest? What practices do you want to engage in? And this is for you. Let it be as abstract or as detailed as you need it to be. But on this side, they give you some ideas that you can drag in. But you're going to actually go to the right, put in the box, you know, a description. I want to enjoy dinner with 5 friends at a dinner table. And so you click, I put in that, I'll see what it comes up with. And you click on image, you could do slide, you could do an infographic. But it's going to generate an image for you, and it's going to generate, I think, multiple images that you get to choose from, and you are going to be able to put that image into um, your slide. And so this is going to be your own time to actually process what you've heard today and make some decisions on what you are going to actually begin to manifest. So I'm going to give you until 11:55. And if you feel wedded, you can share any of your imagery in the chat. You can literally add a screenshot, add your image there. And let's see what we dream up. What does thriving look like for you? Create your own thing. I'm going to put on a DJ, and you create and play. Right. I'm just making sure I could open it up. Here he is. And I'm going to share him. I know you don't hear anything yet because I'm working. There it is. Sorry about that. I knew it was this. Right, love. So we're at that 11:55 mark. See what people might have put in the chat, if anything. Yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love all that people are producing and sharing and are enjoying. I want to just close out with this. And then I'll open it to the wonderful folks from Charter for Compassion, because you may have some closing words for everyone. So, two things that I just want to share with folks as I close out my beautiful thoughts. Here is, let me quickly present. um, you could definitely let me know how your experience was today. The link is also in the workbook, which is here. So just let me know how I did. I always want to get better, and just also know you can reach out to me in any way that makes sense for you. And my challenge to you is actually in the workbook, and I just want to share exactly that one thing that I want you to consider in your journey is this. Let me here. So right here at the bottom, you have an action plan. And so it's just like, what might be one resilient, it might not even be a resilient strategy. It might be a thriving strategy that you want to commit to practicing over the next month. And that what is your timeline for implementing that strategy, and who is the person you're going to talk to about it that you want to check in? It could be just, hey, send me a text and let me know. Um, and ultimately, you know, the biggest question I'm wearing your biggest question. If you're worried about, well, Craig, I don't know. But what if it all works out? What if it all works out? I'm gonna send y'all love and light. It has been I am deeply grateful. Thank you all for just being you, for being great participants in our time together, jamming with me. And if there's any way I can be of support, let me know. Otherwise, I'm sending y'all with love and light. Thank y'all so much.